Welcome back into the live desk. I'm Janae Hancock, joined with a special guest, Chase Briscoe, who is a professional race car driver. Chase, thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and I have to say congratulations because you just won the Southern 500 back-to-back, might I add. How does that feel to walk away with another win?
Yeah, it's always special. That race is such an iconic race in our sport. It's being one of the crown jewels, one of the majors, and just to win it once is a huge deal. But then to, know that you've won it 2 years in a row and back to back is really, really special. Plus, it's our kickoff to our playoffs, which is, nice to always start your playoffs with, winning a race and kind of carrying that momentum and confidence throughout the playoffs. So, yeah, it's been a great start for our playoffs so far.
And we're going to touch on the playoffs in just a bit, but I do want to circle back to just your family history and how it all got started for you, because you're actually a third generation, is that right, of a race car driver?
Yeah, so my grandpa started owning sprint cars, dirt cars in the 70s. My dad raced for 20-something years. Then, naturally, I just grew up going to the racetrack, wanting to be a part of it. My dad wanted nothing to do with me racing, and just continued to beg him and wear him out, and eventually got an opportunity to do it. And yeah, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, straight out of high school, and slept on a couch for 3.5 years, and would just volunteer all these different race shops, and eventually got an opportunity, and it's just kind of spiraled from there.
It's that dedication. So let's talk a little bit about the legacy. What does it mean for you to continue on that legacy through your father and your grandfather? What does that mean for you?
It's super special, just the history and just everything that racing has meant to my family. Starting in 1974 and for it to lead to being in the Cup Series. I don't think my grandpa or my dad would have ever thought it would turn into this. But yeah, it's certainly special. Just being able to carry on, the Briscoe name in some form or fashion in motorsports is really, really special. And, I already have a 4-year-old son that is super involved in racing and just loves it and eats it up. So yeah, I'm sure he'll probably be a fourth generation. But yeah, it's super special just to be able to carry on kind of what that history is for our family.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what advice that you can share with us that your father gave you and maybe your grandfather, and then that advice that you're now going to pass on to your son, your 4-year-old?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just truthfully treating people with respect and treating them how you want to be treated. It doesn't really necessarily go along with racing, but at the same time, there's been countless times where just being a good person has came back full circle for me, whether it's going and racing for another team or getting an opportunity. Nobody wants to work with somebody that's difficult to work with. And for me, especially when I was volunteering for those 3.5 years, it was just about being there and being present and, being somebody that was a joy to work with. And that eventually, honestly, got me an opportunity. So that's been something that's been super important to me to kind of pass on to, my kids now, is just trying to treat them and show them to treat everybody with respect. And, their world that they grew up in is totally different than the world that I obviously grew up in. So, yeah, just trying to do that. That's the most important thing, I think.
I love that because it's a matter of also remaining humble. So to have that advice is definitely important. So let's talk about what's next for you. What are you up to now? What's going on?
Yeah, well, we have a big race this weekend. It's the last race of this round of the playoffs, which for us doesn't really mean a whole lot since we're already moved on to the next round. But it is important because it's the Bass Pro Shops night race. I drive the Bass Pro Shops car, so anytime your main sponsor is sponsoring the race, it's of extra importance. So we're trying to go there this weekend and obviously do the best we can, and then just trying to start our next round. It's the round of 12 of the playoffs, trying to start off in New Hampshire as best we can and try to hopefully win the first round or the first race of that round again so we can move on. But yeah, we have 8 weeks left in our season, and if we can put 8 really, really solid weeks together, then we feel like we can be the champion. So that's what we're trying to do.
And so it's not every day you sit down with a NASCAR driver. So I have to ask you, how do you prepare both mentally and physically for these races?
Yeah, it's a lot that goes on during the week.
Yeah.
Really, we race on Sunday. We'll get home Sunday night. Monday, first thing I'll do is go in and do all of our kind of debrief meetings, whether it's with my team or the whole company in general. We'll then go on and work out on Monday afternoon. Tuesdays typically is one of my off days unless I'm going and doing something like we are here today. And then Wednesday we'll do typically 4 hours on the simulator. So we'll go run at the racetrack that we're going to that week just to try to prepare from a setup standpoint. I'll try to learn the racetrack or just little tendencies with it, and then we go work out again. Thursdays, sometimes another simulator day, or I'll be doing sponsor stuff, and then we fly to the racetrack on Fridays. So it's a full-time job from really the first week of February to the first week of November. That's how long our season is, and yeah, don't get much time once the season starts.
And it's something that you love, so you enjoy it. You enjoy having this busy schedule and all these things to do ahead of the big day. So you are making an announcement today with Jackstack. Can you tell us a little bit more on that and give us a little sneak peek as to what exactly it is?
Yeah, pretty special. Jackstack is going to become the official barbecue of Victory Lane at Kansas Speedway. So hopefully here in a couple weeks, I'll be getting to eat some Jackstack in Victory Lane, and then they're actually going to build like a temporary Jackstack in the concourse there at Kansas Speedway. So all the people that are coming to Kansas Speedway, whether they're local or from out of town or out of state, they can get to experience what Jackstack is. So it's going to be a pretty special thing, I think, for Kansas Speedway. Just kind of add some of that local flavor to their racetrack and add another thing for the fans to be able to do. So yeah, I know for me, I'm definitely looking forward to it being in Victory Lane, and hopefully I'm the one that gets to eat it at the end.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to hope that for you as well. And I'm also going to hope that you get some barbecue today. You're able to taste some of the barbecue. I told you the cheesy corn and then also the beans. Our news desk is telling you as well. Okay, so Chase, before I let you go, I guess just your final piece of advice for young boys or maybe even young girls here in our community, here in the Kansas City area. What piece of advice would you leave them with?
Well, I think what I was talking about earlier, just treating people with respect, whether it's, treating them how you want to be treated, whether it's, you're trying to be a race car driver or a doctor or baseball player, whatever it is, it all comes down to the same thing. If, you're going to your job and, not being very nice to people, at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be there very long. And just, you never know, you never want to burn a bridge with people. And that's something that has been really big for me in my career, is just not burning bridges. Even if you get let go or whatever, just doing it graciously, and it always comes back full circle. So for me, that'd be the biggest thing. Just treat everybody with respect and how you want to be treated, and typically when you do that, you can't go wrong.
Such great advice. Chase Briscoe, I want to thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk, and best of luck with everything, especially as we look ahead to the playoffs. I appreciate it.